Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Stock Report, and in this report, we will be looking at how the market has performed around the world in the past month or so, and what's going to stall for us in the future for the next 2 months. All right, around the world, the stocks have been steadily rising, say from January till the beginning of March. The Dow Jones Industrial Average has remarkably performed well, given the fact that the fundamentals of the economy in America is improving, but the rate at which the stock market is performing has outperformed the fundamentals. So it's a bullish behavior that we have been seeing in American markets, whereas some of the Asian markets, the fundamentals of the economy in the Asian markets is right, but the rate at which they have performed, the stock markets have performed, is nowhere near the way the American markets have performed. Comparison with the American economy with the European economy. Does the American economy have a contagion effect from the European markets? Yes, it does have a contagion effect. Um, the contagion effect from the European economy is fairly significant, um, but the American market has shrugged off its contingency. So, what's in the Asian market? The Asian market is a has performed, but is fairly steady at the moment, and sometimes some of the markets are even going down. The fundamentals, the way to invest um, is to look at the markets, the fundamentals of the country's economy, and the way in which the stock markets are performing. The Asian markets seem to be very conservative. They are not performing as they ought to have performed, whereas American markets has wildly performed. So if I was an investor, I would be looking at investing in Asian markets because uh, the rating really is not performing to the level it ought to have been performing. Okay, that's a tip. Um, the next thing, the world politics. As I said in the previous videos, looking at yourself, if you are a high net worth individual, consider yourself a global citizen, and you can move around anywhere in the world where the tax regime is suitable for you. As in America, the tax rate is around about 35%. Uh, in the politics, there is talk about to bring the rate to 25%. 25% tax rate does not go far enough to invigorate and stimulate investments. And so I would say 20% would be a significant way down from 35 to 20% would stimulate the economy. And another fundamental thing is missing is to deregulate the wages to get into a full employment level. Some of the economies in the Asian markets, the wage rate is regulated by the market itself. Let's not regulate the wages. Let's not have a minimum wage. So the market forces determine the wages. The wages could be wage pressure upwards or downwards or sideways, depending on how the local economy is performing in that particular nation. Okay, so those are the some of the things that I would be concerned about, and if I was a worth high worth in that individual, I'll be looking at moving money elsewhere, looking at tax havens, looking at incentives for nations to provide. Okay, how the stock market is going to perform in the future? Say in the next 2 months, the stock market has plateaued and it will go down in the next 2 months or so. So that is the regime that we are in. What else is happening around the world? The European crisis and all that. And the flow-on effect is mostly in Americans, Canadian Americans, and so forth. It has impact a little bit on the Asian market, but not so much. These economies are affecting the in the Russian market and all those. Uh, Plus, look at economy in Saudi Arabian economies. Some of the regions in Saudi Arabian regions. You should be looking at some of the oil producing nations. Investment in those nations where there is a low unemployment would lead to a greater um, return on your capital. So please do consider those things. Even though they are Islamic countries and but the fundamentals of the economy of those nations are fairly good. So do consider those. Attraction in the Asian market is one of the highlights of this century, especially China. Other developing nations, emerging nations, for example, could be Philippines or Indonesia. The labor forces there is determined by the markets. So these nations will start to perform, and these are will form part of the emerging nations, emerging economies in the future. All right. Stock markets will come down, and if you have realized, if you have sold off, realized the gain, sit tight till will the when the right time to buy stocks. And picking your stocks is as important as moving your money around the world. And I shall see you in a few weeks' time. Thank you very much.